Hey everyone, we are back. We did miss a week last week. There's been quite a few changes going on. We had different cameramen with us. Tim, who helps us out, has been behind the camera for the previous two videos, but CJ is back. Normal service is resumed. I was away last week and we have been very, very busy with a deluge of stock. So yeah, CJ was away, but don't worry, he is still here. And
Haven't fired me yet.
yeah, haven't got rid of him just yet. Never going to happen. But we are back with another consignment update. As I have said, we are very busy preparing for this auction on the 2nd to the 5th of December. So we are not doing our usual. I will go through things one by one and show you a lot of stuff very quickly. I'm going to show you some highlighted pieces just for time in mind, and we actually need to get this sale finished and up online hopefully by the end of next week. So what was the date today? It is the 5th of November. I think we are anticipating the auction or catalogue to go live on the 14th. So we have just under 10 days to get everything finished. So highlighted pieces today, it's mainly focusing on vintage gear. I know that's not going to appeal to everyone, and I know it's not going to appeal to all sorts of budgets, but I think from a broad point of view it's quite interesting for a lot of people, hence why we're doing it. And yeah, I think there's some cool things to look at in that section. I wanted to kind of like focus on one area just to make it easier for us and easier for you guys. But in future consignment updates, when things have calmed down, the catalogue goes online, when the sale room's more laid out, I can quickly go around and show you some other really cool things. We've been absolutely slammed with stuff. While I was away, I think nearly 150 guitars turned up, which I've had to very quickly get processed. I'm now at a proofing stage, but I'm hoping by the time this video goes up, we will have a bigger batch up on the website. I think it's been sort of stagnant at about 180 lots, but there are well over 500 guitars in just the part 1 section. There's another 200 plus guitars in the day 2 section. There's amps, there's pedals, there's all sorts, great artist instruments. It's going to be another big sale. Not quite as big as some of the others we've had recently, still a big sale. 1,500 plus lots strong is a pretty big auction by most auctioneers standards. So enough of my waffle. I usually try and make it about 5 minutes just to annoy you all, but not today. Enjoy the video. But before we continue, before I forget, please remember to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, hit the bell icon. We're on that drive to get to 10,000 subs, which we're doing really well with my pleading. I think since I started pleading, we've gained about 400. We're at about 9,300 at the moment. If we can get there before the end of the year, that would be so, so good. And it helps us. The more subscribers to get, the more often we can do these videos, because we can put things into place to make sure more videos happen. So if you like our channel, if you watch our videos and you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And as always, do comment what you like, what you don't like, any improvements, anything I get wrong. I'm sure there's going to be lots of things that I do say that are wrong in this video, because there's some...
There's only so much you can remember.
Only so much I can remember, but there we go. We really are going to take a look now. Enjoy. So just to make a change, we're going straight in with the, I guess the highlight piece of this video. The piece that the thumbnail gave away, starting with a big bang. So this is a Jeff Beck signature Stratocaster, as you can see. And this was actually owned by Jeff Beck, made for him. In fact, we've still got a bit of research to do on it, and I'll go over the reasons why in a second. But essentially this guitar has been consigned by a chap called Peter Richardson. Now Peter Richardson was a writer, a director, a producer, most famous for the comic strip troupe of Performers. You think things like The Young Ones as well, that's the one that stands out for me, I'm responsible for. Rick Mell, Adrian Edmondson, all those kind of performers, made many films, and yeah, a well-known chap in his own right. So Peter Richardson, what's his connection to Jeff Beck? Well, they were essentially best friends, and even best man as well. So yeah, very, very close. And this guitar was given to Peter by Jeff Beck in 1991. So in October 1991 for his 40th birthday. So played the guitar for him, and he did sign it as well. It's been signed multiple times, because the guitar was played yet again by Jeff Beck and signed by him at his 70th birthday. Now this was in 2021. So it was signed again because the signatures had faded, so Jeff kindly did that for him. Now it's not just a guitar that Jeff gave to Pete Richardson, it was one that he did play. There'll be some eagle-eyed amongst you who will be have sort of looked at some of the close-ups of this guitar, and you'll be saying, well, if it was given to him in 1991, how is it that it's got a 2001 serial number on it? Well, there is a reason for that. So in 2001, the neck was changed by Jeff Beck's guitar tech, Steve Pryor. Now the reason it was changed is because Peter then gave this guitar to his son, and Jeff thought that the neck might be too big for him, so he put a slightly smaller neck on, which is still quite thick because it's still a Jeff Beck signature neck, which are known for being big, but the neck was bigger on this guitar, and that's the reason it was changed. Steve Pryor has confirmed this fact, that he did it. The whereabouts of this original neck is unknown, but that is the reason for it. But you know, still, it was still played on by Jeff Beck even with this neck at a later time. Now, having a look inside the cavities, and I will show pictures of this as well, we can see that it has a Fender custom shop stamp made by Artis Barza, custom shop master builder, or did become a custom shop master builder when Master Built became a thing, but that's dated to August 1991. So custom shop body, so made for Jeff Beck by the custom shop, his signature guitar. We are still researching whether this was actually a prototype that was made for Jeff. Obviously without the neck, such numbers and serial numbers have disappeared. But there are some markings in the body to suggest that it was made by the custom shop for him in 1991. So the two things here are, so it's a Type 1 Jeff Beck signature model with the lace sensor pickups, because the 2001 onwards model had the noiseless pickups and the specs changed slightly, and this obviously has the 2001 onwards neck, and it has this roller nut rather than the original slanted one that you quite often see on the Fender Strat Plus guitars. So that explains the neck, but anyway, fantastic piece. If we could look back at the Jeff Beck auction at Christie's, there weren't many Jeff Beck signature guitars in that sale. There were a few prototypes, master-built prototypes. The hammer price for those was ranging somewhere in between 60 to 100,000, so very high figures. We've got a pre-sale estimate of 30 to 40,000 on this. We understand that we don't have the fanfare and the pomp of the Jeff Beck collection, but I do still think this is just as an important guitar, because of the reasons Jeff gifted it to Peter. It was used on many tracks that many Jeff Beck fans won't have realised that Jeff played. I've heard some of these tracks and they're absolutely fantastic. There's no question that it's Jeff's playing as well. And of course we will make these available. Signed twice by Jeff, albeit some of the Autographs have faded, and it is, you know, dedicated to Peter, but maybe if you are a Peter and you're a big Jeff Beck fan, then could be another reason to buy it. But yeah, really fantastic piece. The opportunity to acquire Jeff Beck pieces don't come up that often. Obviously there was the big auction in Christie's, but outside of that, you sort of rarely see them. So anyway, fantastic opportunity to acquire a Jeff Beck owned, made for Jeff Beck, his signature model Strat, and there certainly aren't many of this signature model around even that went through that auction, as I said previously. But yeah, what a cool piece. Jeff Beck history right there. It's me again. We're back with some extra information. This happens to me quite a lot. Really weird coincidences happen where I'll mention something and then it's almost a daily thing. Chris will confirm it. I'll mention something and it will come in, like I'll say, oh, wouldn't it be really great to get a burst for a sale? And then suddenly the phone rings.
Suddenly none turn up.
And yeah, that did actually happen the week before deadline. I said as a joke, wouldn't it be funny if a burst turns up for sale? And we had a phone call from someone who had a burst, but we decided not to put it in this sale for one reason or another. But yeah, look out for that possibly in the future. But there have been other instances. Just another one. One of my regular clients phones up, says, "I'm after a custom colour Fender Jaguar, sort of 64, 65. I quite like the neck profile on those, but ideally a custom colour." I said, "Well, custom colour can mean quite a lot of things. What do you mean?" "Oh, one of the metallic ones, candy apple red, lake placid blue." No word of a lie, as I was onto the phone, someone walked in through the door to come and see me with some instruments. I put the phone down, went out into reception, and there was a 1965 Lake Placid Blue Jaguar there. That's just one example of many that happen all the time. It's quite scary. I could go through many, many more. But anyway, what does that have to do with this guitar? Well, as we were recording the rest of this video, I actually received an email with confirmation about the, I mean, we knew about the neck because obviously Peter had told us about this fact, but I have now seen a photo of the original neck, and it is indeed a custom shop neck with a custom shop serial number, and the neck was made by J.W. Black, who is another renowned master builder. So Art made the body, J.W. Black made the neck. The neck is dated 1 month earlier than the body. So yeah, quite a fascinating thing. So we have seen images of the neck. The neck does still exist. How fantastic is that? So it kind of completes the jigsaw. Amazing that that all came in while we were recording the video, because we have had this guitar now for probably 3 weeks. But yeah, it's great to receive that extra info just to give you in this video. So there we go. 1991, Jeff Beck, custom shop made Stratocaster. So we're sticking with the artist theme, and we are going to look at some vintage pieces mainly in this video, so this goes nicely side by side. An amplifier, we don't often showcase amplifiers in this on these YouTube videos, but this is an ex-Mark Knopfler amplifier. It's a 1961 Valco 6161, and how can we prove it was Mark Knopfler's? Well, it was actually bought from his Christie's auction. More mention of Christie's in our video. So it's from the Mark Knopfler collection. I guess its biggest claim to fame within that collection is it was the cheapest lot of the day, which is how the vendor ended up with it. He was bidding on many guitars, but he just got blown out of the water completely and ended up with this amplifier. But we've got the original catalogue here, and we can see here it was lot 100 with the description annotated by the vendor there. And as you can see here, there's a picture of Mark in British Grove Studios, and what he used to do is he used to line up all of his amps in a circle, and he used to go through every one for every track and pick the best combination. Now you can just about see the amp in the background there, just behind the leg of his tech, Glenn Saggers. But yeah, it's completely faultless provenance, came from that sale. It's now up again as the buyer wants to do other things with his investment, I guess. And what do we think this will make? Well, probably similar to the Christie's auction, to be honest. I mean, we've got a pre-sale guide of sort of 6,000 to 8,000 on it, which I think is fair for this kind of memorabilia. But it does sound absolutely fantastic. If you stay tuned for our video demos, you'll see Jack playing through it. He's playing a Mark Knopfler signature Strat through it, and
Really good.
yeah, sounds fantastic. So it's not only a great piece of history connected with Mark Knopfler, but also a very good amp. So yeah, look out for that one in the next sale. We are quite busy at the moment, and everything's all over the place as we are making final preparations for the sale. So you will see me in various areas of the building as we go through this video. This is an area that not many of you see in the usual YouTube videos, although the demo videos you do. So this is what it looks like without all the fancy lighting and things like that. And this is also where we take all of our Instagram photos as well, and other social media photos. The palette booth that we lovingly cobbled together many years ago now. Anyway, this guitar was over here, hence why I'm here. This guitar was allegedly owned by Jet Harris of Shadows fame. Provenance-wise, there's not a lot to go by. It's got an autographed pickguard. Now, the provenance basically comes with the vendor, and it's basically collectors and people just knowing each other, which is quite difficult in some ways in terms of provenance, because you have to know the people and the chain of people involved. It's a very good client of ours, and someone I trust implicitly, which is all very well for me to say, but that's what we've got. So the person who put this in, he acquired the guitar from someone who he's very well acquainted with and knows he got this guitar from Jet Harris. It's as simple as that. We don't have anything more concrete than that, unfortunately. It was autographed for the previous owner by Jet Harris at time of purchase, but it is a 1968 Gretsch Anniversary 6118 model, and as you can see, it's been used quite extensively. We're not really sure what Jet might have used this guitar for, but I think in terms of value and what we'll be asking for the guitar, it won't actually be a lot more than the guitar is worth itself anyway. So yeah, just an interesting story. British music history, I guess, in some ways, being that it was a Jet Harris owned piece, but cool nonetheless. There we go, Jet Harris previously owned Gretsch double anniversary. So here we have golden year for Gibson, as many would say, 1959. This is an ES-125 T with the single pickup, and pretty good original condition, apart from that that's obviously changed. And I think tuners are original actually. I was about to say they're replaced, but I think they are right. Just quickly having a look. But there we go. It's, as I say, in fine condition. This model, when we see them, we tend to find them in pretty good condition. They are sort of simple guitars, and ones that weren't sort of heavily gigged like the 300 series, the 330s, 335s, 345s, etc. So yeah, light checking throughout, so it's got that sort of vintage vibe going for it. Nice lightweight as they always are. Good P90 pickup for that vintage P90 sound. And yeah, what's not to like if you want a single pickup, simple, nice playing Gibson, and good entry into the vintage market for some. So in this Tokai, but vintage looking Gibson style Cali type case, I guess, is a cool vintage piece. There we go. So we have a Gibson inside. So we've had a collection of 4 early 60s Gibsons from one chap who inherited them from his father. His dad played in a band called the Fabulous Marauders, who were I've heard some recordings, a fantastic sort of bluesy band who played the circuit way back. Actually got lots of images of him playing these guitars in the 70s and 80s, which is always great history to have. But this in here is the ever popular, sticking with P90s, Gibson Les Paul Jr. So this is a double cut. This is from 1960. Yeah, it's in pretty good condition as well. The cherry, there is some fade to it on the front and back, but you can see it's still quite strong here. Bit of wear on the neck, some dings. It's a 4-digit serial number, which many people associate with the 1958 examples. 58, late 58 was when the double cut came in, although one I guess spec that tells us it's not, it's got rounded corners to the body, so it was a lot more squared off the earlier examples, so there's a bit more of a radius to the edges, but not only that, it has 1960 pots, so can't be any earlier than. And it's also got more of a 61 neck profile in that it's not too chunky. It's actually not too thin either, which is quite nice, because some going into 1961, some of them could get quite thin, which there's a lot of people who like guitars from this era don't like the thinner neck profile, but this isn't bad at all. It's really comfortable. I find it very comfortable actually, considering I like chunky necks. But in terms of condition, it's pretty much all there and correct. The one thing I will say about this pickup here is there is a slight fault with the screw for the bass hand side. Here you can see it's a little loose. It's just been tacked down at the moment. We tacked that down for purposes of recording the video, because it was vibrating quite a lot. But it appears that the shaft of the screw has gone at some point, so this will need a minor repair to bore that out and get that sorted properly, but it's a very, very minor issue. And yeah, it's a nice, honest 1960 Gibson Les Paul Jr., no breaks, mostly in original condition, as I say, apart from this fault. Comes with a non-original Tokai case, but really, really cool. These are very popular at the moment. Guide price 5,000 to 7,000, I'd have thought. I'm pretty sure the last one we got sort of hammered around 6,000, so these are really popular, and always tend to find lots of buyers for them. So next up from this collection of 4, we have an SG Junior this time. Comes with this original case, and the one thing you'll notice, it's an SG Junior, but let's have a look at the headstock. Les Paul Junior. Now, many vintage buffs will know there was a short period at the beginning of the 1960s, 61 through 63, where the Les Paul standard was essentially phased out, and this became known as the Les Paul. So the SG shape was the new Les Paul, and I think that basically happened until I think Les Paul decided that it wasn't the guitar that he designed, and therefore it had to change. But anyway, throughout this period, even though they were what is now known as the SG, is sort of the new model that came out, eventually became the SG solid guitar, but initially they were known as a Les Paul, hence Les Paul Junior. With this one in particular, this is smack bang in the middle of that period. It's from 1962, as the pots do tell us, and it's I guess as a player's grade example, you can see we've got the Grover tuners there, which are obviously replacements. You can see the old holes, and you get these big rings as well with the Grover tuners, which that's quite a good thing to look out for when you're looking at sort of guitars that have been restored and things like that. Quite often you can see when they've had Grovers on in the past, because they leave impressions in the face, you know, after people put Klusons back on. Looks like there's a bit of an odd repair actually. It looks like there's a hole that was in this wing at some point, which you can see through the front and the back, but you can see the wing has been slightly repaired as well. Dings and marks all over, and we do have a Bigsby snake bite to the front, so it has had a Bigsby on at some point, or something, certainly at some point, Maestro, one or the other, but it's got this wraparound stop bar. Obviously this isn't original, but probably yeah, some screw holes under just up to here as well, yeah, player's grade example though, very acceptable these days, and for those who can't quite afford an original example, I guess is a good way in. I think we'll probably still get 3k for it, maybe a little bit more. I'm yet to really look at it and price it up properly, but I think it will still do well. It's got a nice case with it. Some of these vintage cases can be worth quite a bit these days, but a cool thing. Les Paul Junior, SG Junior, whichever way you want to say it. There's always a lot of debate about it, but another cool piece. Again from the same collection, and sticking with the SG theme.
The second best guitar shape.
Second best guitar shape, as CJ says. What's the first?
Explorer, obviously.
Of course. So the SG theme and also the Les Paul theme. So smack bang in the middle of that period again. This is from 1962. Now, this one does have some player's grade elements going on with it. There is the other knob there, by the way. It's just a bit loose, which is why we're keeping it to one side. So I'll put that away before we lose it. You can see it's got its sideways vibrola, which these aren't the most popular or usable vibrolas. So it was stop barred at some point, and we do have a picture of the previous owner using this with a stop bar on, but the original has been put back on, and you see the corrosion, that happens quite a lot, but really nice vintage vibe going on. Got all this checking. You can actually see the darker cherry finish around the shaft of the potentiometer there, where the knob has been sat over it, but yeah, knobs and shafts, what am I saying? And as you can see there, I think, or it certainly looks like the neck has at least had some lacquer over it at some point, because you can see some original wear underneath. Lots of checking to the back of the body as well, which does appear to be the original finish. But another cool piece with that sort of Les Paul, or within that Les Paul transition period. Now, I don't usually like to repeat guitars in videos, but I do think it's quite interesting to just compare side by side. So when we went back to the SG Standard in '63, or the guitar became known as the SG Standard, there we have it. So that has the Lyre Maestro vibrola, much more usable, I guess. But we have seen this in a previous video, and this is a fantastic guitar, really fantastic piece. And this is the one with the Frank Hesse tag on the back. So this is sort of George Harrison's spec as well. So got a lot going for it, this guitar, sort of in terms of period, originality. And this is a single owner example, this one from 63. So 62, sideways Rivoli, 63 with the Maestro. We've already had loads of interest on this one, as you can imagine. I'm sure we'll have a lot of interest on this one from 62 as well, albeit that it is a bit more of a player's grade example. But I guess if you can't afford to go for this one and you still want an SG from the period, this could be a good option for you, and you could just go and stop bar it again, which I think would be many people's preferred option. This one comes with its original case. The 63 does not have an original Gibson case, but it has a case that was supplied when it was purchased from Frank Hesse Music in Liverpool. But yeah, another cool piece, and I love SGs. So we're ending this little run of 4 with the most players grade within the of the bunch. So this is a 335 or 335 for our American friends. Comes in its original Lifton case. It is a dot 335, so it has to be within the 58 to 61 range, doesn't it? But this is from 61. The biggest giveaway is the neck. It's got quite a thin neck. But why do I say player's grade? Well, I think it's, or I hope it would be glaringly obvious. Refinished body. Quite a lot of flame on the maple though, which is quite nice to see. But really dark cherry finished body. It's also had a neck repair. Neck has been refinished. Replacement tuners. And all this hardware, it's all chrome. This has all been replaced as well. One of the bridge, the pickup surrounds has changed. It's a DiMarzio. I'm pretty sure the other one is an original M78, isn't it? Something like that. It's had a refret as well. But yeah, dot neck, Brazilian Rosa board, CITES certified, of course. It has one PAF and one patent sticker pickup, which is not unusual for this period, as the patent was introduced, and they were sort of using the leftover patent applied for pickups. I think the PAF will be in the neck, which is usually where they are. Maybe it's been changed on this one for whatever reason. But there we go. It was quite difficult originally to establish the year. The seller actually thought that it might be 59 because that's what you seem to remember being told. But I was a bit of sceptical, mainly because of the neck profile when looking at it, we've got the label in there, but because of the refinishing work, that has gone, and the factory order number is not there to be visible. So we dated it by the pots in the end, which was quite a task, quite an undertaking, and I was so very pleased to be on holiday last week, which meant I didn't have to do it and Chris had to do it. So we have established it as a 61 from those facts, from those points. Like I said, original Lifton case, so it's in that player's grade category, so you're not going to have to pay 5 figures for a early 60s 335. Again, something we still need to have a think about what to put on it, but I guess around the £5,000 mark seems about right, but that will be confirmed in the catalogue. But even though it is in that player's grade condition, it's still a very cool guitar. So in our last auction, we had an absolutely incredible 1934 017 acoustic that sold quite well against this estimate, and I think that one had a replacement bridge. It had some work done on it, but it was an incredible guitar, huge sound, and just by chance, and to the amazement of the owner of this one as well, it's another one from exactly the same year, 34017. So it's not the same guitar as the last auction. It's actually a lot darker in colour, this one, and appears to have the original bridge. But it sounds equally as good, this one. It's a real joy to play. Big sounds despite the size of the body, and basically in great condition. A few minor hardware things going on, and yeah, I think this is a very quick look over. And just to say, if you missed out on the 017 from 1934 in the last auction, there's another opportunity to have get one that I feel is just as good. We're sticking with Gibsons, even though we did just see a Martin, but a lot of Gibsons already in this video. We sold quite a lot of Super 400s this year, sort of custom shop ones from the 90s. If you want a 30s example, then we have one. So this is a non-electrified, so acoustic Archtop, and it's from 36, 37, and yeah, in pretty good condition. Comes with a fitted case that is of vintage itself, but you can see some light checking all over the body. Still yet to properly vet this guitar. I believe it's had some refinishing on the neck, but like I said, we are still to look over it properly. It's a very, very recent one to come in, but quite a glorious thing. So if you're after a Super 400 and they don't come up that often, then we have one from the mid-1930s. Fantastic piece. So we have moved once again. We are in the I guess what we call the day 2 room. A bit brighter in here, not as many racks and things around, but you can see we're still under preparation. Looks a lot different from the actual viewing days, but Gibson, again from a similar period. This is an L-5, and there's a few things that I'm sure L-5 fans will have noticed about it which aren't quite right. This is from 1933, so it's the slightly smaller 16-inch body, which some people prefer, a bit more sought after. But you will notice the Venetian cutaway. Now that was carried out by the workshops of Louis Gallo, very well known within sort of this world, British player, fantastic player, sort of jazz guitar, sort of involved with many people that we associate with jazz, Joe Pass for one. So yes, Venetian cutaway added, and you will also see that the fingerboard has been extended as well. So we've got an extra 5 frets for extended playability, although I'd find it quite hard to still get up there. But I mean, I'm sure that's the reason that the cutaway was put in, and that modification was made. So yeah, that's quite interesting. You can see the binding that's been added as well. There we go. See if we can get it properly. But again, I guess player's grade, I guess we could say, although L5s from this period are sought after things because they don't come up that often, particularly from around this period. A very old guitar now. It's not going to be long till this is 100. It's over, what is it now? Over 90 years old, 92 years old. Amazing, there we go. So Gibson L5 with the modification of the Venetian cutaway. So if you're a jazz guitarist after one, then this is one that won't quite break the bank of a completely original example. Let's have a look at a bass, shall we? Let's keep it fair to everyone. 1964 Epiphone Rivoli. We've had a good run of these over this year. I think this might be the 3rd that we've offered, and this is in really nice condition actually. Good original condition, bit of buckle wear to the back, but we can forgive that. These things should be played, and this shows evidence that it has been. Light checking throughout. The switch has been replaced, but other than that, it's all good. Comes with a period case, probably original to the guitar, to be honest. I think it was from a UK supplier, Friedman's musical instruments in Leytonstone. So there we go. Another cool piece, 1964 Epiphone Rivoli bass. If there's anyone who likes a staple pickup, we have just the thing for you. Look at that. Gibson Les Paul Custom. It's unfortunately not from 54, but it is a 54 reissue from 1972. So limited edition, and it's in pretty good condition. The last one of these I sold was over 10 years ago, and it was in incredible condition with case. We got about 5k for it, so probably picked up a bit since then. And yes, it's a reissue of 54. The story is, I'm not actually sure how sure this is because I'm not a Gibson historian, but the story goes that they had some leftover bits from the factory of these early Les Pauls, and they used them to make these guitars. Whether or not that's 100% true or not, I don't know. I'm sure there's some viewers out there on our channel who know a lot more about in-depth Gibson history than I do. Unfortunately, part of the job I've got to be an overall generalist, so yeah, hopefully some of my knowledge comes across. Yeah, 1972 Gibson 54 reissue. It has had a refinished neck, but apart from that, it's pretty good. As you can see, the waffle back tuners. But these were a limited edition run. I'm not sure exactly how many there were made. Again, I'm sure someone can tell us in the comments. But it does come with its original case. So it is another cool piece. And this has come from the same collection, and it's actually from the same year as well. So it's a 1972 Gibson ES-330, and this is in really nice condition as well. Comes in this, what would you call that, more of a tan sunburst, amber burst, but checking throughout the classic 70s witch hat knobs, and just in great overall condition. Some chipping to the back of the head, as you can see, but it's an honest used guitar. Because it is 70s and early 70s, it does have the thinner or less wide nut, which is not to everyone's preference, but still, for those who do like that and do not mind it, then there is a good example of a 1972 Gibson ES-330 for you. And just to show you, I'll give a brief glimpse of what we're dealing with. Everything you see behind me basically came in last minute, so we're frantically working through it all, trying to get the cell finalised. But anyway, less about our problems. Our problem, not yours. You want to see these guitars, and here we have a 1960 Gretsch Jet Firebird, which is pretty cool. They don't come up that often. And this is actually quite a nice surprise to see this guitar, because it came in with a collection. I think it was literally the day before I went away on holiday. So it came in with a collection which I had valued by a list only, and the owners, lovely couple, pleasure to meet them. They had inherited the guitars and knew nothing about guitars, so the list was quite vague. So they'd given a lot of the serial numbers and things for the Fender instruments, and I could roughly, date those and give them an idea. But the information they'd given me about this one suggested it was like a Chinese-made Electromatic. So I actually valued this guitar at £200–300 initially, based off their list. So when I opened the case, it was quite a nice surprise to see an early 60s Gretsch, which is worth significantly more than that. I think you can add a naught on the end and then double it at least. Yeah, a Jet Firebird, nice surprise for them as well, as they inherited them. And pretty good condition for the age. And I like them a lot. Jet Firebird, because obviously it's in the fire red finish rather than the jet black. So in this case we have here a 75 Strat. And yeah, these are pretty popular these days. These sort of mid-70s Strats. 3-bolt neck, got the big headstock, which I'm a big fan of. You can see replacement tuners there. The old tuner holes are there, but it's got some shallers put on there. So not completely original. And it has, as you can see, it's had some GK pickup, I think, put on it at some point, because there's some residue here, and that's where the control box would have sat. But again, pretty honest example of a 75 Stratocaster with a 3-bolt neck. And in here, in an 80s case, but a 70s guitar, this is also a 75 Fender Strat. It's a big headstock. This is in more honest condition, I would say, in terms of originality. Nothing's been changed. You can see on the back the sunburst and how much it's faded to the front. Quite nice to see that, how it happens from the UV exposure. Another cool mid-70s piece, 75 Fender Stratocaster. And similar period, slightly earlier, from 1971, we have a Fender Telecaster. And this is from the same collection as the first 75 Fender Strat we saw. And also the Gretsch as well. But yeah, 71 Fender Telecaster, again, player's grade condition. We've got replacement tuners. You can see it's had the old Keith Richards treatment. Got a DiMarzio humbucker placed in the neck position. That's obviously been routed out. You'll see the bridge has also been changed. That pickup is not an original Fender pickup. Interestingly, it has a 60s, early 60s Fender serial plate. So we're not really sure. It's definitely an original plate. You can tell by the tooling marks on it. Yeah, so a mixture of parts on this one. As you can see, there's some later tuners there with the gear casings missing. But interesting guitar nonetheless. And comes in a later 70s Fender hard case. More 70s goodness. Don't believe everything they say about the 70s with American manufacturers. You can get some great guitars from this period. Here's a 74 Hummingbird Custom. We had a couple of 60s Hummingbirds in the last auction. Obviously you've got the skinnier nut with this guitar, but we had a very nice Hummingbird from this exact year earlier in the year. A fantastic instrument like this one. So 1974 Gibson Hummingbird Custom. So again from the 70s, this time Martin acoustic. This is from 73 and this is a 0021 or 0021. And again, pretty good condition, isn't it? A bit of lifting on the guard, but comes in its original case. And if you're after a little Martin guitar from a nice period, well, I think it's a nice period. Like I said, not everyone else agrees, but yeah, there you go. 1973 0021. And again, very early 70s, 71 this time. It's a sweet little 017, so slightly smaller than the previous one we saw, and 2 years older. But again, in pretty good condition. Comes with a semi-rigid fiberboard case, and by the looks of it, a Brazilian rosewood board, which they say was phased out by then, but there obviously was some crossover. I believe Martin did use it up until I think 71 might have been the very last year for them, saying that, but there you go. And you can see interesting to see sort of hardware changes as well. The more waffle back grovers on this Martin, but another cool vintage Martin piece. And in here we have another Martin, much earlier this one. This is from 1956, but it is a 0028G model, so I guess more with the classical guitarist in mind. Nylon string, more of a classical guitar nut width and neck style, with the ebony board as well, but we're right in the territory of Brazilian rosewood used for everything. So really nice, fine Brazilian rosewood back and sides, and Brazilian rosewood bridge, ebony fretboard, Brazilian rosewood head face. Yeah, really nice guitar nonetheless. This has actually come in with quite a good collection of antique and classical guitars that will feature in the same auction, albeit on the Friday. So check out those on the 5th of December. I will try and do a classical guitar video, just because we do have quite a nice collection of classical guitars in for that sale. Good broad selection. We've even got a Romanolos guitar, which are very desirable pieces these days. But there we go, 1956 Martin 0028G. So in here, Gretsch with the iconic smoke green finish. These anniversary models sported. This is from 1960. It's the 6118 model with the additional pickup there, making it a double. And there we go, two-tone smoke green finish. Comes in a case of the period. I'm not going to say it's original to the guitar. It's got that yellow interior, very Lifton style. Lots of wear to the neck, but I love the finish on these ones. Some people won't, of course. It's quite green, isn't it? Yeah, 1960 6118 anniversary model with the Bixby. More vintage Gibson acoustics. If you missed out on the absolutely incredible J-200 we had in the last auction, I think that was from 66, wasn't it? We have one from 64, which I think sounds equally as good. But yeah, nice piece, 64. So we've got a slightly bigger nut on this one, more in keeping, and we've got the Brazilian rosewood board, of course. CITES certified, as we always say. So these ones have the adjustable sort of tune-o-matic type bridge, which is almost a little bit jarring to see on an acoustic. You can see the Brazilian rosewood graining in the bridge as well. Comes in a Lifton case, but another cool piece. If you're into your harmonies, you're in for a treat. We've got a couple of H75s in this auction, which we do see quite a lot of, but we actually have in here a H71 Meteor, which is single owner from new. We've even got the original tag and purchase receipt, but this is in quite incredible condition from 64. There we go, and look at that. Almost looks brand new, although there's just enough wear to make it look like it is actually a vintage guitar. So it comes with the usual gold foil pickups. There we go. But yeah, another cool piece from 64. Comes with a later Hiscox case. There you can see the original tag there, or the original receipt, bought from Ivor Morantz, and this was purchased by the vendor's father from Ivor Morantz back then. Cool guitar. And if it's small-bodied acoustic guitars you're after, or vintage ones for that matter, then here's a late 30s Kalamazoo KG series guitar. Pretty sure it's a 14 off memory. And you can see it's had some changes. This bridge plate wouldn't have been there originally, and that's more of a classical guitar bridge, but this has been put on to well, just to act as a bridge for this later fitted tailpiece. But still, cool piece, consigned by a lady whose father owned it, and she seems to think that he acquired it whilst he was studying at Leeds University way back. But there we go. These don't come up that often. I've probably only sold 4 or 5 over the many years we've been doing these auctions. But that is a late 30s Kalamazoo KG. Keeping our bass friends happy, we have an early 70s EB-3. And it's in pretty damn good condition considering the age. Finish still strong. Obviously you've got the volute, which puts it in that early 70s bracket when it was introduced, and really clean condition with the two pickups, and the switching just gives it that classic thuddy but varied sound that you expect from these basses. And if you'd rather Fender than Gibson from a similar period, this is basically bang on 1970, so right on that 60-70 crossover, we have an original Fender Precision bass, and it's a really nice one too. Really strong sounding, even acoustically, nice and vibrant, really resonant. Comes with a of-period case, comes with the original owner's manual. Another cool piece. And I think we had a 69 Fender Precision bass that did really well in the last sale. And yeah, if you missed out on that one, then there's an opportunity to get one that is not much different at all. We're getting more into the realms where people say, yeah, that shouldn't be classed as a vintage guitar because we're late 70s, although I believe 80s guitars should now be classed as that. So there we go, generational thing. But this is a late 70s guitar from Fender, and the reason I'm showing it is because go and find a better. 77, original natural finish, comes with the case as well, and it's just in phenomenal condition for the age. A little bit heavy, as they are from this period. There's a few very minor dings, but yeah, it's just almost unbelievable.
It's nice.
It's nice. So as discussed earlier, when we were looking at Gibson SGs, what is the #1 guitar shape? And then I think you'll all remember that it is in fact the Explorer.
It's an objective thing. It's not even an opinion.
A Carina. But don't get too excited. Still cool though. It's a Tokai. And then in the last clip we were talking about vintage instruments, and where I say 80s instruments should now be considered vintage. This is an 80s made in Japan Tokai Explorer, so essentially a Carina reissue. That has an incredible weight.
It's so light.
Yeah, I'm reminding myself of how great this guitar is. I think this really reminds me of yeah, those many times that I sort of seen Lynyrd Skynyrd live, and I'm a big fan of the band. Can't actually remember any apart from Gary Rosington. Can't remember any of their and obviously Mr. Van Zandt. Their guitarist with the long white hair plays a Carina Explorer, and that's the vision I have, him playing one of these. Fantastic guitar. I think this has had some upgraded pickups. I think it's had these put in,
Yeah, that's it.
the humbucker pickups, but it does have the original Tokai 57 PAF models still included. But that is really cool. We love Explorers. It'll be better in white for me and probably for Chris, or black, but still a great guitar, great weight, sounds great, decent upgrades. What's not to like? So there we go, ladies and gents. I hope you enjoyed that consignment update. More focusing on vintage pieces, some artist things at the start of the video. That Jeff Beck Strat is really cool, especially with the amazing coincidence of getting the extra snippet of information we needed as we were recording this video. Coincidences that happen to me on a frequent basis, as I mentioned. Yeah, I hope you like what you see. There's plenty more to add to that vintage pile. Those are just ones that I could grab at the time. We will have show off more stock, hopefully more varied videos of amps and classical guitars and things like that, as I mentioned. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, hit the bell icon. Let's get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year or close to. That would be absolutely fantastic. So if you watch our videos regularly and haven't subscribed already, please do so. That would be great. We possibly will have another video next week. We'll see how we get on, but there'll certainly be a good batch of videos before this final auction of the year taking place between the 2nd and 5th of December. Check out the website guitarauctions.com. There will be Lots of goodies to look at by the time this video airs on Friday morning, as they tend to. So thanks for watching once again, and we will see you next time.